You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Boxx, where you get the inside scoop on the steps action takers and decision makers take to align their purpose to their principles and achieve their goals in business and life. And now, without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Boxx.
Listeners, this is Sarah Boxx, your host of the No Labels, No Limits podcast. This week, I'm going to tee up for you, little golf analogy there. I'm going to tee up for you a replay that we did. This replay was one of our top 10 all-time replays since we launched the podcast in 2018. It was an interesting item to come up for us because as a team, what this podcast really was talking about where we had been up to that point. It was recorded in 2019, and our plan for the next year, 2020. Now, when we recorded this, little did we know we were going into COVID, massive shutdowns, things that were going to really affect the world. This was all pre that. I recorded it back in November of 2019. Or possibly even the end of October. We published it November 7th. So there's the aspect of it, us being forward focused without even knowing what the future held. As all of us here in the States and around the world know, it was a different future with the pandemic and all. But then looking at some of the thought and the questions we were asking ourselves at that time, and how we just automatically revisit those things now as part of how we work. And we have some great things that we're doing for 2023 coming up, which we're going to tell you more about that later. But I wanted you to have a listen to this with us. And then also think about where have you been in the past 3 years? It's so easy for us, and for me in particular, because my default is to plan, think forward, and get going on it. It's so easy to not pause to look backwards on where we've been, what we've learned, who we know and who we've met along the way. And this particular episode, when I recorded and re-listened to it recently, really brought all that to life for me. And I just thought, wow, how lucky are we that over the past, at that point, it's been 2.5 years, 3 years, how far and how many great people have been a part of our world at Sarah Boxx Coaching and Consulting, both on the side of those who we get to serve, and it's those who've walked alongside us in this podcast and brought resources and different outlooks and the different countries we've connected to. So I hope that you enjoy this podcast. I hope that you and your team, if you work with a team, and if you're a solopreneur, I hope that you do it for yourself, is just think back at where you were and what you have discovered, maybe how you've innovated or overcome. I will tell you that in the coming weeks, we're going to be sharing with you what we have on tap, and it's pretty cool. But I'm not going to give you the details now because we're still tweaking them on the back end, and I don't want to lead you down the garden path, as they say. So with that, welcome to episode 255 of the No Labels, No Limits podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and we would look forward to your feedback. Hey there, No Labels, No Limits podcast listeners. Sarah Boxx, your host of the No Labels, No Limits podcast show. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different in that I don't have a guest with me today, but instead we're going to share with you some of the things that we've accomplished over the past year and some of the things we have coming up in the remaining part of this year and into next year, specifically because of feedback that we've received and also research we've done in the field and working with our clients. So today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've learned over the past year or so. We're going to introduce you to a great quiz with some free tools for you, our Strategic Vision Mastery Quiz. And then we're going to tease you with a little bit of information about some virtual summits coming up starting in the new year. And of course, what's on tap for the podcast. So before we get too far into the content, let me just spend a little bit of time for folks who may be new to the podcast and give you a little bit of background about No Labels, No Limits, about when we started and why we started. So we actually, this time, 2 years ago, started plotting out, if you will, the podcast, figured out our mission, our vision, what we wanted to accomplish, identified our first 20 preferred guests and started looking to get them on board. And then we started pre-recording so that we could launch on International Women's Day in March 2018. And the reasons that we started the podcast was to help bring inspiring people into the ears of our listeners, as well as share information through our blog posts so that we could encourage people to keep going even when their goals seem tough or that they might not be making progress. Because what we know is that oftentimes people stop just short of that one thing that will put them over the tipping point and start to get momentum and going towards their goals and objectives. We also know that we can fall prey to limiting beliefs, either about ourselves, our external environment, and make things seem more overwhelming and impossible. That really was our reason, was to help bring inspiration to people who either have an idea or waiting to get going on it, or people who've been working and might be feeling a little bit stuck. A really cool thing that we never envisioned, or I couldn't even feel what it was like when we were at this place 2 years ago, is that before the end of 2019, so within the next few weeks, we are going to reach our 100th episode. That seems epic to me. It really did seem pretty far away, and when we started, I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. Would we have guests? Would it be meaningful to people? And over the 2 years now, we've found that it is worth it. We have had a chance to bring our listeners examples of everyday people who are out there pushing their own limits, breaking through perceived barriers or limitations so they can achieve their own goals, whether personal, professional, family, relationship, whatever, and achieve more of what they want to have in their life to be successful, however they determine their own success. And while our guests have taught us a lot and been generous with their time and talent, they have also helped our listeners grow and our team, the Sarah Boxx Team, to grow personally and professionally. So we feel really proud to know and share them with all of you. So just as a recap, we have talked with leaders and achievers who've traveled across country to start new ventures in new communities, with leaders who have moved from one country to another country where they don't speak the language to do the same thing. And they've been fueled by their belief in their dreams and their convictions. And that has helped them have momentum. They've gone on to start profitable marketing firms, nonprofit organizations, and a number of new ventures. We've talked with authors and educators committed to helping others succeed and make the world more accessible and their dreams closer. We've also talked with women, some of whom found themselves alone and needing to care for their children under really difficult circumstances. Some of those circumstances were outside of their control and totally unexpected, and some were frankly dangerous. And they had the courage to stand up, take action, get help, and go out. And now they've been going and opening doors for other people to do the same. And we've also talked with leaders who have stepped out of secure, predictable, important, and frankly very prosperous roles and positions to go after a dream and be able to express more of their true selves in their work and in their home lives. And frankly, the podcast has only fueled our commitment as a team to continue doing the work to spread the no labels, no limits, no excuses message to more high achievers worldwide. This coming year, we're going to be getting even more practical and tactical, as we'll be visiting with some of our guests to get updates on their big goals and what they've learned over the past year in pursuing those goals. We also have on tap interviews with experts in personal and organizational assessments, marketing, leadership and executive coaches, evaluation experts, and researchers and experts in creating effective environments and habits for our goal achievement. These guests will talk about different aspects of business and personal life, as well as share case studies. So where have we been over the past year? We have added to our virtual team on the content, services, and research sides, and we've assisted some amazing individuals and organizations to advance their own goals and missions. We've incorporated systems and processes to help us deliver high-value services, and those are not all fancy systems. They are just very practical systems to make it easier for us as a small team to communicate. We are located across the United States and occasionally overseas, but we need to communicate efficiently and effectively with one another. And so we have worked to put in systems that make that easy. And we know they're working because we routinely get emails on the back end from people we work with, either in podcasting or other areas of the business, saying how organized and efficient that was. So that's kudos to the team member on that. We'll be doing more of incorporating those systems and processes into our work in 2020, because that will allow us to do more and to support you, our listeners, and our blog readers and our growing group. We also produced and released tools and templates to our readers so that they could use them independently of us and go after their own goals and achievements. Now, these are tools that we use on the back end of our business with our coaching clients, our consulting clients. But what we wanted to do was to equip our listeners and readers to be able to move forward in their own journeys by providing those tools and templates that have been helpful for us and our clients. It was big for us. We just don't want to be holding on to things that could help other people advance in their work and their own processes. And on that note, we just launched our Strategic Vision Mastery Quiz. This is pretty cool. It takes less than 5 minutes to complete. So the quiz looks at the 8 components that can help you be very successful in goal achievement. And those components include clarity, purpose, being very strategic in the goals you set, making sure they're smart, making sure your tactics align with the goals, knowing that you have the right resources, all the way down through budgeting and being sure that you have the right supports to help keep you going forward so that you don't lose traction and lose heart, frankly. The great thing about the quiz is it only takes 5 minutes. It's entirely free, and it serves as a baseline as you get ready to go into 2020 and have a great year. The results come right into your inbox. They provide actionable tips and tools for strengthening your goal achievement results. And you get this great PDF that has embedded within it hyperlinks to those tools, as well as to some articles that will help you understand some of the concepts even further. The best way to get it is to go to our homepage at www.sarahboxx.com, and you'll find it right there under News to Use, right there on the left side or at the top of your screen when you open up the quiz. You can take that and enjoy the results. We'd love to hear from you if there's anything else you have questions about things. And again, it's no obligation. You get your results instantly, and you get this great PDF report, which is all about you. The next thing that we have coming up, which is really a stretch for us, we've been so excited and working on the back end on this for quite a bit now, is we are going to launch a series of virtual summits in 2020. Now, if you are not familiar with a virtual summit or have never attended one, the closest thing I can link it to would be an online webinar, except that it's still different from that. It's like being at a great event where all of these speakers are presenting at the same time, and you have to go room to room and choose your speaker. Only what's better than that is that you don't have to choose. All of the speakers will come to you via your computer, your mobile device, or however you're listening, and you can have convenient access to them, get all of the information they provide, and it's all free to participate. And then after the summit is over, if you're interested, you can retain the information, keep it so that you can share that with others on your team or board or whomever else that you want to have conversations with about these topics. Virtual summits have been one of my most valuable learning environments over the past 3 years. I would say virtual summits, Audible books, and podcasts. I just consume them like crazy because I'm an avid learner and I'm constantly reading and gathering information to grow my own practice, but also to share it with all of you. And that's how the team here at Sarah Boxx Coaching and Consulting views the work as well. Summits have been very powerful because I can schedule my time to attend when it's convenient for me, and I can keep the information and come back and listen again. So we'll be extending this to our listeners and readers and our followers in 2020 on a variety of topics. Our first topic, which we're well in the way to producing for you, is called Assess for Success. Choose the right tool to grow your people, teams, and organization. And right now that will launch in 2020, January 2020, and we'll be opening registration probably within the next couple weeks so that you can hold a space on your calendar. This topic is especially relevant to individuals and organizations we work with, those in the nonprofit and small business sectors. And I can speak personally as a previous nonprofit executive director and board member and now consultant over the past almost 20 years. I wish this kind of information had been collected, compiled, and synthesized in one place for me. It would have saved me hours of research and trying to figure out what should I pick, in what situation, and why. In this particular episode, we are going to be talking with experts who deliver one or more assessments, whether it's individual, team assessment, organization-wide, or board assessments, and have them go into the weeds on those assessments, who they're for, when you should use them, how to get the most out of them, and whether they can be done totally independently within your organization or if it's best if you have some outside support. And our goal with this summit is to help all who attend to know the best assessment for their organization, their team, their board, or themselves, and to get the right fit. And again, like I said, I just wished this had been available when I was first starting to pick assessments. And honestly, I continually look at assessments because I think starting knowing where your baseline is when you're trying to grow from anywhere is the best first step. So that will be coming up. We have another change that we're anticipating in 2020. And if you follow our blogs, you know that we write articles and share information each week, which is intended to help you in the work that you do or your personal and professional goals. And we'll continue to write those articles, but we're going to offer it in a customized newsletter so that we can really dive into things that people want to know more about. We're going to narrow our target down. We'll publish some, but we're going to do a special deeper dive for folks in our listserv. So that means you as subscribers to the newsletter, which is entirely free, will be able to help pick the direction and some of the topics that we cover. And so if you don't already receive our regular weekly updates, it's really easy to sign up. You just hop on over to the homepage on sarahboxx.com and sign up right there. There will be a box that slides out and you can put in your name and email and we will get you lined up so you're good to go. And this brings me to another opportunity we will be opening up in the second quarter of 2020. We've been asked if we can do smaller learning groups for strategic vision achievers, folks who want to work in a small community-sized thing like a mastermind, where they can be with people like them, focused on accomplishing similar types of objectives. We'll be offering that, but we're going to keep it small, probably only to 12 or 18 participants total, so that we can cover topics in depth and we bring in experts, ongoing sessions. And this kind of smaller closed group environment will help high achievers to really get down and honest about what's working with them, where they need more help, where they have questions, and to support one another. So that by this time next year, what we're hearing is, wow, what a difference 2020 has made in my overall goal achievement. So those are just some of the things we have coming up in 2020 to help you live a no labels, no limits, no excuses life. We hope that this has been as exciting for you over the past year and a half as we've done the podcast. We are so looking forward to bringing you more great content in the coming year. And again, don't forget to hop on over, grab your free tools, sign up for our newsletter updates, and then if you feel so inclined, please go over and leave us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to the podcast. That helps us get noticed, and that brings more people in to be able to live a no labels, no limits, no excuses life. So until next week, to your success. So that's it for this week's episode. If you liked what you heard, please hop on over to iTunes or wherever else you listen to the podcast and leave us a rating and review. This helps us get the word out to more people just like you who want to live a no labels, no limits life. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.